Mark Rogers TV breaking down positions across the ACC. We stop in Pittsburgh with Jim Hammett from Cardiac Hill, the SB Nation platform for the Panthers. Jim, let's talk defensive line. That's been a place not just necessarily of tons of players, but there seems to always be a standout star for the Pitt Panthers, and we could go through the Aaron Donalds of the world and a number of players that move on to the NFL and have dynamic careers at Pitt where they're just putting up glossy numbers. And, of course, Juan Price being the latest, 23 tackles for loss, 13 sacks just this last year, and he's been that productive for a few years there at Pitt, but he's gone to the NFL Combine. Tyreek Jarrett, also a guy, a defensive tackle. In reviewing the line with you before we came on, it really comes down to a situation where we're going to see a whole slew of new players up front for the Panthers this fall.
Absolutely, and losing Juan Price is it's a really big blow. I mean, a lot of the attention for Pitt the past few years has been on James Conner and Tyler Boyd, but Juan Price was just as good, if not better than them. I mean, he was one of the best players in college football this past season. He was just a sack machine, lived in the other team's backfield. So losing that kind of production really, really hurts them. Looking at defensive end, Rory Blair is a senior. He's coming back. He's been an off again, on again starter for the past few seasons. Never really has put it all together for a full season. So, I mean, looking at him, he's going to be probably one of the mainstays at defensive end. There's another guy. We're not exactly sure what we're going to get out of him. Is Dwayne Hendrix. He was a 4-star recruit, transferred from Tennessee, and he got hurt in the very first game last season. There was some pretty high expectations for him. He won a starting job. So, assuming he comes back from injury, everyone's going to count on him to be a big player at defensive end. Beyond that, I mean, they have some experience. James Folston, Alan Edwards got some playing time. But, beyond that, Narduzzi has really hit defensive end hard recruiting-wise, and it's going to be a lot of freshmen, that have a chance to play. Kayzion Pugh, Rashad Weaver, so we're going to see if someone steps up. So, the pass rush is definitely a concern because that's probably been one of the strengths of Pitt the past couple seasons.
Yeah, we know that the secondary underachieved last year. I don't know what the hopes are there in improvement, but we'll talk about that in a future segment. So you need the defensive front, obviously, to put heat on the quarterback. I know that you've got serious tabs on the 2017 class. Anybody there that could chip in or definitely be called upon to based on the thin depth chart?
Yeah, definitely. And, moving inside to defensive tackle, it's an area where Pitt's recruited very well the past 2 seasons. And, it looks like last year's recruiting class, they brought in 3 highly rated defensive linemen, and they're going to look to get some playing time. That's Amir Watts, Keyshawn Camp, and Rashad Wheeler. They were all 3 of them were big-time tackles. So Watts got a little bit of playing time. The other 2 redshirted this past season. So, they're going to look for them to play. And, coming into this recruiting class, Pitt was able to land Cam Carter. He was from East Mississippi Community College, a former Penn State player, kind of bounced around, had some legal troubles, but Pitt brought him in. So he's going to have sophomore eligibility this season. And, I look for him to come in and maybe compete for a starting job right off the bat.
Yeah, if you get those JUCO guys that were that highly rated, and for Cam Carter, we're talking about a top 15 defensive tackle in the JUCO ranks, top 30 player in Mississippi, and don't discount Mississippi when it comes to high school football talent because it's pretty serious despite the lack of population, and a number of other guys that we see here would Carson Van Lin's a top 70 defensive tackle in the current class, and Jaylen Twyman, a top 50 defensive tackle out of Washington, D.C. So if you get the production and get guys to step out of the group that you've named, you usually need 7 or 8 guys. If you want a healthy rotation, then maybe the guys that I just mentioned don't need to be in the rotation this year, but hopefully, obviously, they were recruited to step up in the future and be those players that you count on in 2018 and 19, but definitely in the JUCO ranks. Cam Carter, you would think, needs to step in and play and be productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the losing Tyreek Jarrett and Shakir Soto on the inside, they were 2 seniors. They played a lot of football the past couple of years. Good at stuffing the run. I mean, Tyreek Jarrett is a very large man. So, it's going to be tough to replace them. So, you almost look at these freshmen and sophomores, and they're going to have to play. There's no choice. I mean, in a perfect world, you kind of bring guys along and they play as juniors and seniors. But the way this roster is constructed is, some of the best players on the team are young guys, and they're going to have to play. It's just the reality of it right now.
Pat Narduzzi takes pride in defense. He knows it through and through, and his track record speaks for itself. So you got to think that some of the issues that we saw last year are going to get fixed eventually, if not completely this year. This is going to be a pretty top-level defense at some point based on his knowledge and personnel and just the pride and determination that he's going to put into making this unit as good as it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think right now he's having an adjustment going from a Big Ten, which was more of a run-dominated league, and you go into the ACC where there's spread. I mean, Pitt just faced Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, Brad Kaya. It was a very good offensive league. So it's a little bit of a different brand of football, and I think it's taking time to get the right people in place and kind of adjusting the scheme. Defending Wisconsin's different than defending Clemson.
There's no question about that. Two different headaches that you have to deal with when it comes to one's more physical, one's a little bit more mental and chasing guys down and looking at the back of their jerseys. You mentioned the guys that you had to face last year in the division. Fortunately, those guys are gone, along with Gerard Evans at Virginia Tech. And, of course, the schedule cycles around as well, and no Clemson on the 2017 slate. All right, Jim Hammett from Cardiac Hill, breaking down position by position. Check out the other offensive slots that we've looked at: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and offensive line. And we will finish up with the defense here soon. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thank you.